Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Integrity Project. I'm Roy Cocciollo, and today I'm with my producer, Stefano, and we're going to talk about the power of repair.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
Clean it up.
All right.
Clean it up. Let's go.
You know what? I'm messy. This is actually a great way to start the episode.
I know it's you're messed up, but anyway, today we're going to talk about something that separates the boys from the men.
The boys.
Oh, it says the boys from the men.
Okay.
Oh, okay, the boys from men, men from boys.
Boys to men, yeah.
Our ability to clean up our mess. You know, the thing is, we are all imperfect. We all mess up. We all make mistakes. We all overreach. We all take risks that don't work out exactly the way we want to. We all create tension. And most of us, what we try to do is try to justify. I did it because I had that. I didn't know. Instead of taking full responsibility for it and then just clean it up. What does that mean? Stefano, what does it mean to clean it up?
I mean,
to you.
Well, so I take that in two ways. So if you're a drug addict, first and foremost, you have to clean up your body from all the toxins. I think if you really...
And that's very hard.
It's probably the hardest. Any
Absolutely.
addiction is the hardest. And you and I both know, because we all have our own addictions. If someone comes to you and says, all right, Roy, it's time for you to clean up all your addictions, you're going to say, whew, I don't even know where to start. Maybe that. Let me ask you something. Where do people start? What's that first step in order to repair yourself?
Your first step in order to repair yourself, clean up it, is first of all, you have to acknowledge it exists. You have to acknowledge that you're an addict. You have to acknowledge that the mistake you made is there. You have to acknowledge and accept exactly what happened for what it was. I think a lot of people try to, they acknowledge what happened, but they can't accept it for what it actually is. They try to change a narrative. They try to change and justify why it happened. But you just have to learn to acknowledge and accept it for what it exactly is. And that's the first step.
What about the next step when they say, yeah, but it's not my fault? Yeah, but I went here because I needed to cope with this. Yeah, but I started to do that because I felt lonely. So what do you do about the naysayers that say, yeah, but I did this for this reason?
But you did it. You had a choice. So you have to take responsibility for going there. You have to take responsibility for putting yourself in that situation. Because as soon as you take responsibility, you no longer can play the victim anymore. When you take away the power of victimhood and put the power of responsibility in there, that means now you can control your own life. You can control your own decisions. And I understand. Listen, I'm not saying this is easy. It's not. It's simple, but it's very difficult because when you have to go back to that wound that triggers you, it's very difficult to deal with. You get very emotional. You get stuck. You get frozen. You either run, you hide. But when you take responsibility, you can't do those things.
Why?
Because when you take responsibility, that means you're able to control your actions around it.
Okay, so explain to me about behavior then. How do you actually okay, so let's assume you're going to go clean. I come to the Integrity Project after this amazing episode. I'm like, all right, it's time to change my life. In order to repair what you've damaged, we can't go to Man on Fire. You know what I mean? So if people cannot have these outlets of hope, beacon of hope, the beacon of change, and I come to you and I say, Roy, I'm a broken man. I need fixing. Where do I start? I think I need to focus on the starting point.
Let's start at the first. Okay, so you say you're a broken man.
Sure.
Okay, so why do you feel broken? Where does it come from where you feel broken? Tell me what is happening. And whether it's going to be your wife, troubles at work, financial problems, drugs, porn, you have to have that starting point and knowing exactly what it is.
Most men have all of them all at once.
They could.
Most.
And
Don't you
most
agree?
men fill their gap because one day they go gambling and they lose
Sure.
money and they go watch porn to make themselves feel better because
Sure.
they got to jerk off and do whatever.
And then they feel terrible.
And then they feel terrible and guilty to go see their wife, and all of a sudden their relationship, their wife is
right.
strained because
Yes.
the energy that they left behind for the gambling and the
That's
porn
right.
leaks into their family life. And she's like, hey, where is my husband?
That's
I don't
right.
see him. Because she doesn't see his energy that he came in with love and focus, she feels now slighted. Now she pulls away her love, and now he feels more in love because he's already done things that he's supposed to do, and comes home and feels emptier. And because of the guilt, he goes back to gambling, smoking pot, jerking off, and the cycle continues.
So how do we break that cycle? What's the first step?
First of all, it's like a broken window. If you don't acknowledge you have a broken window, you can't fix it. So first thing you have to do is you have to acknowledge where you're at.
Okay. So my window's broken.
Okay, so acknowledge where you're at. I'm in pain. I feel alone. Whatever it is, you must acknowledge that. 2, you have to take responsibility of your actions around those behaviors. Because what happens is if I don't take, I watch porn, but I can't help it. Yeah, you can help it. That's the way you choose to fill your space of your wound. And now you have to accept the fact that's what I do because of my wound.
Gotcha.
Okay? And I can take responsibility because I'm wounded. That's how I feel. In order for me to feel better, this is how I feel my wound is by watching porn, smoking drugs, doing gambling, whatever it is. And then as soon as you get to accept that, now you have to get around the emotions that you get or you're trying to run away from. Now, when you take responsibility for your pain, and now you're not willing to run away from it, but actually face it and allow yourself to feel it, go back to being that wounded little boy, back to the beginning, and allow all those emotions to run through you. Men don't want to cry because they don't want to seem weak. Men don't want to find places of safety so they can release their rage because they're not supposed to. Men don't hang around with other men and talk about these things because all they talk about is stupid shit like porn and other girls and all that kind of stuff. They don't talk about things that matter. Because first of all, they don't feel safe with each other because they're all going through the same thing. It's very difficult.
It's very toxic situations everywhere.
Oh, you know what? Here, smoke this, you'll feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you have to be able to take your heart and get out of your head and thinking about the circle of shit that goes through your head all the time. I feel sad, so I'm going to watch porn, and I'm going to do gambling, and go home, then I go home and be disconnected from my family that actually makes me happy, which I'm going to numb myself from that because I feel I don't deserve to be happy because I'm not worthy of happiness.
Okay.
Right? My wife who works so hard, I'm just going to avoid her because I don't want to listen to her shit because she doesn't see the real me, and now she's mad at me because I'm not showing up to the man that she once knew because we lose ourselves in our pain. So there's a whole cycle that we go through. So we have to break that cycle.
Okay. So if you have to break the cycle, have you truly acknowledged how your actions impact someone else, or are you just intended to hide behind them? So when it comes
I used to hide behind them.
Okay, so talk to me about that.
I used to justify all the time. I used to hide behind saying like, oh, but I needed more.
But you justified it to yourself or to others?
Even to others. Justify it to my wife, justify it to my kids, justify it to everybody. And then when I took actual responsibility for it, the funny thing is when I started cleaning up all my betrayals and I took responsibility for my actions, the conversations weren't what you expect them to be. Because what happens is when you try to justify things, you talk in circles, right? I did it because, and then they ask, well, why did you feel like you had to do that? Well, because, well, why did you feel like you had to do that? And it's like this circle of why and because, why and because. But when I take responsibility for it and say, I did it, I fucked up, I hurt you, I can't believe I was in that place, and I'm doing all the work I can to make sure I don't go back there. I need your support, and I hear your pain, and I acknowledge the pain I give you. All that kind of stuff. The conversation no longer becomes why and because.
No, but hold on. We've had guests on here before, and I'm not going to drop any names. that those individuals have decided to come full circle and say to their loved ones, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what happened. I want to heal. Those people don't accept it. And now suddenly what you wanted to avoid has now happened. So what about that? The fear of being rejected after.
Well, that's what stops most of us. And you cannot control how the other person is going to react to it. But I'll tell you two things that'll happen. One is they've already known this was coming and they knew about it. Intuitively, they knew there's something off.
Sure.
And when you come clean to them, you're not doing it to unburden you.
Sure.
What you're doing is you're giving them the freedom of trusting their instincts, knowing that I wasn't crazy. I knew this was happening. I saw it. I didn't know how to explain it. And when they begin to trust their own feelings and you truly start to evolve as a human being to be a better version of yourselves, what do you think? I'm going to ask you this question, Stefano. What do you think your spouse wants after you? Like if you broke up with your wife, what do you think your wife is looking for?
Peace.
She's looking for an upgraded version of you.
No, I don't think so.
100%.
Because no woman is going to jump into another relationship not knowing what's going to come.
Okay, but what I'm saying is generally what they're looking for is an upgraded version of you. She fell in love with you for a reason.
Yeah, still you, but just
upgrade. What I'm saying is even somebody else who's like you, but an upgraded version of you. What I'm saying is why can't that version of you show up for her? And even though you hurt her, she doesn't want to be with you at the moment. If you soften yourself up, you take responsibility, you do all the right things, you show up for her the way you're supposed to, you build that relationship. Even if you can't be husband and wife, you might be great friends. The relationship you're going to build is something based on honesty and truth. She can trust herself. She can trust you. She can trust the future of your relationship. But without repairing, getting to the truth and being completely honest with somebody is part of cleaning up, and especially being honest with yourself. Most of us don't want to be honest with ourselves because we're afraid that the other person is going to reject us. Right? And it's okay to say, look, I was lonely. I felt rejected by you. I felt that you didn't love me. So I had to numb that pain by doing all these things that made you even worse because what I was doing wasn't exactly addressing and working together so we can be in the same place. We just avoided and ran.
Yeah.
And in most relationships, we want the avoidance of a fight. We want the avoidance of feeling rejected.
Of course.
But when we don't express those things, it creates resentment. If I don't express to you the way I feel and what my expectations are, and you keep continually doing stuff that betrays me, I'm going to resent you. And then what ends up happening? That resentment keeps growing until one day it's unrepairable. And I know that conversations of those deep aren't fun. But you know what? I guarantee you that if you took 1 hour a week with your wife, 1 hour a week, no distractions, no phones, no TVs, sit down with each other and actually express how your week went, how you truly feel, you know, where you're coming short, you know where you're coming short, you know where she's coming short, and have an actual discussion of understanding and allowing each other to say, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and I know what I need to do next. Rather than, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah,
you know what, you come in here, throw your shoes, or you don't pay attention, you don't talk to me like I fucking hate you.
Yeah, of course. For sure. Listen, this is a type of conversation we can have for 6 hours because I think the Integrity Project is essentially based around the whole repairing yourself and having a better version of yourself. Because without integrity, we're an empty shell.
Well, you have no foundation without integrity.
No foundation. So I have one more question for you before we sign off on this episode. What conversations are you avoiding right now, you personally, that could restore trust if you actually faced it? What do you think? Or better yet, not you, because now you've come pretty much full circle. What about the people who are half circled right now? What conversations are they avoiding right now that could restore trust if they actually faced it head on? What's the one thing you would tell them right now?
The one thing, if you're avoiding it, everything that you want in your life is on the other side of that conversation.
That's
Everything.
intense.
And the avoidance of that conversation is because deep down, you know you're worth more. And if you have that conversation, everything you expected or everything you have in your life will probably fall away from you and give you space for something so grand that you're afraid to even know what that is.
Wow. So the past the conversation is that horizon.
Yeah. On the other side of that conversation that you're not having, whether it's with your business partners, with your wife, with your kids, with your brother, your mother, whatever that is that you're avoiding, is on the other side of that conversation that you think is going to be so tough, is everything they ever wanted.
So now I'll add one more last thing to this. And everybody should really think about this the next time it happens. How many times, I'd say 10 out of 10 times, do you have this gut feeling like you don't want to talk to your dad? You know that as soon as you open your mouth, your dad's going to blast you with something and then the argument's going to ensue. But what happens at the end of that argument? There's a sense of peace. There's a sense of, it may have hurt, but I'm glad I did it. So do you think a lot of people have to realize it's going to hurt no matter what? But it's the sense of peace that you'll have afterwards that then the healing can begin.
Name me one thing that's good for you that doesn't hurt. You eat healthy, it hurts because you know what? You got to cook a little longer. You want to be physically fit. You got to go to the gym. It's going to hurt, right? Lifting those weights hurts. The next day you're sore. Your body hurts. You want to run. You want to learn how to run long distances. Your legs are going to hurt. Your feet, like everything in life that ends up creating strength in you. That creates
not turning off your phone during a podcast. So right, we've come to the conclusion of an episode that should be 6-7 hours long.
We can talk about this all day, all week, all night.
Because imagine there's so many different facets to this. There is discovering the addiction. Then it's coming to the agreement with yourself that you've now found the addiction. How do I talk to my addiction saying that it's no longer welcome anymore? How to become a better version of yourself, not only for yourself, but for the people around you. And then talking about it. I think talking about it is the ultimate goal at the end of the day for anyone that wants to be a better person. Wouldn't you agree?
I think it's not necessarily talking about it, but actually sharing it. And the reason why I say that is like, there's nothing more annoying than somebody goes, hey, we got to talk.
Oof, I don't even like that. Don't even say that to me now.
Right?
Yeah.
We got to talk. But I think that when you go and say, hey, listen, you know what? I got something I really want to share with you. Do you have the energy that I can do that with you? If it's not now, we can do it later, but there's something I really want to share with you. And I think it's a softer way, because when you want to share something with somebody is you want to give them the ability to take some of your pain and for you to accept some of their pain. I think that when you share something, it's a lot different than, hey, you want to come eat with me, or do you want to share this loaf of bread with me? Like to break bread and share some deep things. And when you say you want to talk, and like nobody wants to be talked to.
Sure.
Right?
Also, do you agree timing is also key?
Absolutely.
Because I've had arguments with my significant other, and I was so fixated on it, I did it first thing in the morning. Like, you know when you have to get it out because it's just eating you alive, and then when you reflect a couple hours later, you're like, fuck, I should have waited.
I think it's very important that you ask the question if the person has the energy to have time to share this with you.
No, you're talking like a logical person.
No, I'm saying, listen, sometimes you have, because
most of the time you don't want to be logical. You just want to say what you got to say.
In that case there, I'd go, look, honey, I'm just going to tell you this. I need to talk to you about this. Now, I know this is not the right time, but I just have to get this off my chest real quick. I want to talk about this. Can we talk about it when we get home from work?
Oh, I like that. That's a good way of saying it.
Right?
Sure.
And then
you've acknowledged it and you got it off your chest.
You got it off your chest. You know you're going to have the conversation.
You don't want a response right now.
You don't want a response right now.
I
and
like that.
sometimes, depending on what it is. But yeah, it's important to make sure that you have enough energy, that you're coming from the right place. The last thing you want to do is when you're sharing deep-seated things is an argument.
Sure.
The last thing you want is a yelling match. What you want to be able to do is give yourself some grace. You want the other person to be energized for you, and you want to have a conversation where there's understanding. And there's nothing worse than saying, you're probably going to be mad at me when I tell you this, because then they're assuming it's something bad. But at the end,
so
here's
many triggers, man.
I know. Say, look, I'm about to tell you, may or may not make you happy, but I need to share this with you. So, and then start from the beginning and don't leave anything out. Like details are important. And not like, I'm not saying like details, like I'm just saying like details of what, when, how, what you're feeling is important, because you can't just come out and blur, say, listen, you know, I smashed the car. Okay, bye. Like that doesn't work, right? You need to say, like, I really messed up. I was drinking a little too much. I probably shouldn't have been driving, and this happened. And because if you don't take full responsibility for it, you can never change your behavior. You never can evolve to the next level of yourself. Because if you don't take responsibility, it really doesn't really exist.
It doesn't. Now you have to take responsibility for me now. You have to look directly in that camera. Tell them.
This has gone a little too long. I take responsibility for this. It's supposed to be a 15-minute episode, but welcome. Again, thank you for watching The Integrity Project. I'm Roy Cocciollo again with Stefano,
Yes, sir.
my producer. And again, you can find us on The Integrity Project on YouTube and Spotify, and you can find me on Instagram at RC Truth Academy or on Facebook at Roy Cocciollo. Guys, thanks very much. Have a great day.
Yes, sir.